Regularly scheduled programs will not be seen tonight so that we may bring you the NFL football game live and in color.
Fourth down and 25 for the Chiefs. They want to use up all 5 seconds remaining so that they don't give the ball back to San Francisco. Mahomes takes the snap. He's just going to throw it long for Demarcus Robinson. It is going to use up all the time. The game is over, and the Chiefs' kingdom has firmly planted its flag on top of football's highest summit. The Kansas City Chiefs are champions of Super Bowl 54.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And check out every episode of the show at basicallysports.tumblr.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg, Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
The absolute worst!
How about those chefs?
How about Greg missing the final score by 3 lousy points? I said 31-17. It was 31-20.
How about that final touchdown taking myself out of the winning square on my work pool and my girlfriend out of the winning square on our house party pool? That was kidding. And it's just like, just lay down. Lay down. You're at the first down. You're fine. Just run out the clock. What are you doing? Stop it. Stop it.
I got taken out of one of the first half one of those for $500. When I forget which team it was in Super Bowl 25, one of those two idiots got a safety right before halftime. I was like, of all the things, right, a safety. So, yeah, I know how you feel, believe me. I haven't played one of those since, actually, now that I think about it. But what'd you guys think of the game?
I thought it was interesting. As you brought up, Greg, it looked like I was going to be right for most of the game, and then the chefs did a good.
Well, so. I thought, was it the quote unquote one of the greatest Super Bowls ever? I don't know. I doubt it, but
I would.
But it was just but for the first time in a long time. I mean, I shouldn't say that because the Philly, New England was good, and so actually, whether you liked it or not, so was Seattle and New England. But this was just a good football game.
Atlanta, New England is too, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's just a good, well-played football game by both teams. And
I think a lot of it is that last year's Super Bowl was such a drag.
Yeah.
That, this is just obviously better by comparison.
Yeah. I think it's, like you said, Greg, well played. But I got to say, I wasn't all that engaged with it, as it was kind of going on.
No.
Because it was just sort of happening. There wasn't anything big. There wasn't any big controversy. It didn't really kind of hit a gear.
It was a very fast-paced game. I want to, congratulate the refs, I guess, for not letting the game, not taking over the game. They very much let them play, which I thought was nice. The game flew by.
Not a single offensive holding call in that whole game.
That's impossible.
I don't know how that's ever happened. I don't get that because they love to do that. They love to call holding, but they let them play, and that was nice. But I think you're right. It was kind of like you were waiting for something to happen, but even the parts where you were waiting, you could see the chess match going on between the two teams, and
even when the turnovers happen, it's not like, oh wow, huge game changing turnover. It's just turnover. Look at that.
Yeah, this is just a really good mid-season football game.
Yeah.
That's all. I mean, and that's not a bad thing. It's just it didn't have a lot of drama until the end. But I think compared to last year, I think I'm giving it too much credit because the Patriots weren't involved, and that was just so refreshing.
Yeah.
To see two teams that I actually like out there on the field. The uniform matchup was stellar.
I think there was that. I think there's the fact that last year's was so dull, and I also think the fact that the exciting bits in this game all happened at the end, so people walked away feeling excited. That contributed a lot to it because it's anyone who performs in concert knows you save your big hit for the end, so everyone goes home happy. So the game ended on a comeback, and I think that is going to make people feel like, oh yeah, no, this was a really good Super Bowl. I don't think it was the best one ever, but
No.
it was good. Like, and again, it's like, like I understand, Patriots fatigue gets to you, but like the Philly game was good, the Patriots Seahawks game was good, the Patriots Falcons game was good. I mean, those were all technically really good games, but of course, you're dealing with the Patriots, so it's kind of agonizing. But so it's not like we have been starved for good Super Bowls lately. There have been good games, but I think that there was like a really good combination of factors that made this one seem like it was special. I would agree that at times it felt like maybe just a preseason football game, but I felt it was entertaining. I was never really super invested in it, but I was never bored out of my head either. Yeah. So
I think it's exactly like you said, Greg, because I think I had this conversation with one of my friends at our party. It was just nice that the Patriots weren't in it.
Right.
And like a couple of us picked sides. Like one of my friends is a Broncos fan, so he didn't want the Chiefs to win. And obviously I'm a Rams fan. I didn't want the Niners to win. But like if either of them won, it's not like it's going to upset my whole worldview or like anything. It's just it wouldn't have been my preferred outcome, say, if the Niners had won, but it's not as devastating as the.
Speaking of the Niners,
yeah, and I think the other reason this game's weird is because it goes two ways. It's not like there was really some amazing thing that happened. It was the Chiefs played really well at the end, and the Niners really gave it away. Kind of a combination of one team won it and the other team lost it.
So, which is what I wanted to bring up. Right. Does Kyle Shanahan have like a reputation now?
A little bit, yeah.
You have
to at this point. I mean, look, the guy's been in 2 Super Bowls and he's blown the lead in both of them.
Yeah,
I know you can blame. I can't remember the guy's coach, the head coach of the Falcons that year, but was it Quinn still? Anyway, whoever the head coach. I mean, sure, he's probably the main lightning rod, but Shanahan was calling the plays in that 28-3 game, and you could commend him for saying, "I'm going to keep my foot on the gas," but dude, you're up by 25 points. You run clock at this point, and even if you just get a first down or two. And you give the ball back to them, you make them take 7-8 minutes to get a touchdown, and you just that's how you play it from there. It's a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's not week 6 against the Bucs. Come on.
When it comes to Shanahan, I think there's only 2 instances where it's his fault. I don't know why they sat on the ball at the end of the first half and just
that was dumb.
That was really weird because they had all 3 timeouts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they just said, "No, we're just going to go to halftime." And it's like, I mean, okay, if that's what you want to do. I guess it's fine in the moment because you're like, sure, I guess you don't want to possibly give Patrick Mahomes a ball back. And
they hadn't done a thing at that point, though. I mean, really. And Mike, when we talked about the our picks last week, brought up the 49ers defense, and Mahomes had like no time anytime he dropped back to pass.
For most of that game, Mahomes was kind of being bullied. Like,
right.
I looked like a freaking genius for most of that game.
The line looked like garbage.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, you got to give credit to that Chiefs or the 49ers front, though, man. I mean, they were just all over them, and that was the thing. Everybody that picked the 49ers, that was their argument, was that front 4 would not give Mahomes enough time to do what he does, and for 58 minutes or 52 minutes, they didn't. And then all of a sudden, I don't even know if I don't think he ever really had a lot of time, even on that long pass to Tyreek Hill on 3rd and 15. He just threw it up before they got to him. So the 49ers defense, you can't take a thing away from them other than the fact that maybe, they got a little tired or I don't know what. But
the other point where Shanahan screwed up a little bit is 4th quarter, they get the ball back on the interception, and then they throw those 2 incomplete passes two in a row. And calling a pass there is not a bad thing, but at that point you don't call two back to back.
Well, not only that, but your running game has been shredding the Chiefs the whole game.
Exactly.
They were averaging like 5-6 yards a carry. So you got 3 tries at 5 yards a carry to get a first down. You're going to get it. If you can do 5 yards a carry, you're going to get it every single time.
I'm going to try to find it because there was a number that was like in the fourth quarter how many passing plays they threw compared to running plays at that point in the game, which is like, what are you doing?
I'll tell you something. Two things, though, in the Chiefs' defense. I think the defense played a lot better than people thought it was going to. I thought they did a very solid job. And we can get to this later, but I think that Damian Williams was the MVP. I even told you guys right after he scored that touchdown when we were texting, I said, there's your MVP right there. And then they gave it to Mahomes. I'm like, really? Because one of the things going into it, too, was that Kansas City was going to have virtually no run game at all. And, Williams wasn't like doing a Derrick Henry or anything, but he was getting yards when they needed yards, 5, 6, 7 when they needed it. And he was keeping the 49ers off or defense just honest enough to give Mahomes a chance to pass. If you take away Damian Williams' performance in that game, I don't think the Chiefs win, because if they've got no running game at all, then the 49ers are just going to pound Mahomes into the turf at that point. So I think that they had to stay back a little bit, just because they'd shown they had established the run. And then he went for 104 yards and 2 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. He was the guy. He was consistent the whole game, and Mahomes had a great fourth quarter. So I don't know. I didn't like that.
I agree. Williams should have been the MVP. Mahomes was fine. Mahomes had a great fourth quarter, definitely. But when it comes to the game, like Damian Williams, some of those plays that he made, tiptoeing on the sidelines, jumping around guys, the play he made to get the tip of that football over the goal line.
They were lucky that got called a touchdown and there wasn't a definitive replay, because looking at it, I would have had to say no. And I was like, nah. I even think when we were texting, I said, sorry, he didn't get in, and then he did. And that was surprising to me. But overall, though, I thought the officials did a really good job. They stayed out of the way, and that's what I want. Maybe that's what I like so much about it. There was no flags. I
mean, there was that offensive pass interference
which was questionable.
Yeah. Here's my question that I'm taking out of this from the 49ers side. Kyle Shanahan shares a lot of the blame on this too, but Jimmy G is not the quarterback that people want to hype him up to be. I don't think.
I'm gonna pull a Bill Simmons here. Are we sure he's good? He showed signs. I mean, he played very solid for a while.
But he's not asked to do a whole lot.
Right. And then when it really mattered, he fell apart. It was simple as that. I even joked. I said when he overthrew Sanders on that pass, I said Montana would have hit that pass. So would have Steve Young. Come on. And Tom Brady for that matter. But yeah, Montana or Young or even Jeff Garcia. I'm even going to say Alex Smith or Colin Kaepernick all hit that pass. And Garoppolo, that dude on the sidelines, what's his name? The backup, Nick Mullins, probably hits that pass.
Well, this perception of Garoppolo too works for that. One of the better commercials was that NFL 100 to open the game.
Oh, with Garoppolo's carrying Montana's bags,
Montana and Steve Young's bags,
Yeah.
Just hold your horses, Jimmy Garoppolo. You are not a 49er great quite yet.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's what happens a lot with the Patriots. It's, if you were a Patriot, you're going to go somewhere else and be great, with whether you're a coach or a player or whatever, but being Tom Brady's backup, look, when Joe Montana left the 49ers to go to the Chiefs, there was this guy, Steve Bono, who looked a lot like Joe Montana in his throwing motion and everything. That did not make him Joe Montana. And I think we saw that, establish itself pretty quickly. I think Young might have been hurt or something at that point. I don't remember. But, yeah, Steve Bono was this guy who looked like Montana's carbon copy, the way he played, the way he threw the whole bit. But just because he sat behind Joe on the bench for all those years did not make him Joe Montana. And I don't know that being Brady's backup made Jimmy G. I don't know if that a lot of that rubbed off, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I mean, he looked like he was fine managing the game for most of the game when the 49ers had the edge. But, when the Chiefs rallied and there needed to be that, the 49ers needed to step up. It was on him. He had the ball with 2 minutes left. He had he had the opportunity to be Joe Montana or Tom Brady. He had that chance.
Yep.
And he couldn't do it. Yep.
So here's how this plays out in the fourth quarter, by the way. So, Niners are up 20-10. Chiefs put on a 12-play drive that gets intercepted. And at that point, that's when I texted you guys like, game's over.
Yeah, right.
Oh, no, I thought it was over at that point.
That's what I said. I said Mike called it right there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would have thought that too. But then here's what the Niners do. Getting the ball after the interception, up 10 in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl after you've been running the ball down their throats all day. Mm-hmm. Run for 6 yards, fine. Pass for 12 yards. Run for 1 yard. Pass, punt.
Yeah.
Then the Chiefs get the ball back and they score a touchdown. Okay, now the heat's back on you after a 10-play drive. Took a lot of 3 minutes off the clock. Well, okay, hey, they're coming down our necks. We need to end this thing right now. We need to get back to our bread and butter. 5-yard run, pass, punt.
Yeah.
Those are the back-to-back passes that kill them. And then KC goes down the next drive, scores a touchdown, and then they're down, so then they're doing a little bit more passing on the other plays. But KC went up. When did they actually score that touchdown? With 2:44 left.
Yeah, plenty of time for the
2:44 and all your timeouts.
And here's the thing too.
Doing what you did.
Well, not only that, but would anybody have bet at that point? And even though the Chiefs were up, that they would score yet another touchdown with that much time left, or with that little time left? No,
exactly.
But listen to the first play of the two of the three drives you just mentioned, or the first two drives that they had after the interception.
They have pretty good running plays.
Yeah, 5 yards and 5 yards,
6 yards.
Yeah. So what are you doing?
Yeah, it's absolutely mind-boggling that they decided to go to the pass game that late.
Well, let's look at it this way too. Let's say that all things being equal, they still don't get any first downs or whatever. If you run on those 4 pass plays, you've killed 90 seconds or 100 seconds off the clock, no matter what. Even if nothing else happens, you get 0 yards, you've still run off all that, or at least made Andy Reid have to figure out how to manage the game from that point, which they never even put him in that position. Mm-hmm. So what are you thinking? I just don't get it. I think that Kyle Shanahan, look, dude, everybody knows there's only 2 things you can do on the field. You can run or you can pass. So when you decide you're going to pass, you're not really fooling anyone because it's a 50-50 chance you're going to do that. Stick with what you know, do what you're good at. And they didn't do that. And it cost them,
Yeah. We've talked a lot about how the 49ers lost this game, but let's turn it on the Kansas City Chiefs. First Super Bowl for Kansas City in 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, Mike, I was there for the first time, or the second time they were there, the last time they won it.
And not to mention another drought broken, Andy Reid finally gets his Super Bowl.
Andy Reid, Super Bowl. Sorry, vet.
But other than he coached a good game, I thought. I mean,
did he end it with all of his timeouts left?
No, they called one. They called one.
Yeah, called one to figure out what they wanted to do on the fourth down to run
fourth down. Yeah, to run off the clock. Yeah.
So I don't know if that counts.
Yeah. Even if it does count, it was a very smart timeout to call.
Did they take a timeout in the first half?
Nope.
Okay. So essentially, he went the entire Super Bowl without calling a timeout.
Not one of any consequence. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think the timeout on fourth down was smart. Let's just get our act together.
Yeah.
And figure out what we want. Even though there was really no way in the world that the 49ers were going to win because they were down 11 points. But still, let's get it together, making sure we know what we want to do, et cetera, et cetera. And you've heard it a lot. Everybody's been saying it. He was a Hall of Fame coach before this, but now he definitely is. But other than his clock management issues, you got to admit the guy's a great coach.
Very successful.
Very successful. But those clock management foibles have sunk many a game. So.
Yeah, but on the other hand, who is his quarterback for most of those clock management problems? Donovan McNabb.
Yeah.
Not a bad quarterback, but certainly.
Yeah, Andy Reid wasn't bending over and puking during a 2-minute drive. I mean, against the Patriots in the Super Bowl? Let's be honest about it. That wasn't him. And McNabb showed no sense of urgency on that last drive. I was watching that game going, what are you doing? What are you doing? What about John Lynch calling a timeout at halftime there when Shanahan wouldn't? Did you remember they showed him up in the
Yeah,
in the booth?
that's not a good sign for your franchise, I guess, your internal culture when you are when your general manager is calling a timeout over the objections of your coach.
Right. But yeah, I think the Chiefs, I think they're not probably getting quite as much credit as they deserve because everybody's kind of like, well, the 49ers lost this. Well, the Chiefs still had to score the points against that defense. And then they had to hold the 49ers, which if you had told me that Kansas City was going to hold San Francisco to 20 points in that game, I would have said the Chiefs are going to win it every single time. Because you know that the Chiefs, even against a really tough defense, are going to be able to at least put up 28 because that's just the way they are. They're gonna crack the code on a couple plays, and we saw it with the pass to Hill. We saw it with the pass to Sammy Watkins. They're gonna hit a few here and there, and they did. So the defense I think deserves a lot of credit because they kept San Francisco at 20. They played really well, and they deserve some credit in this. On the Bill Simmons podcast, the question was percentage of the Niners losing it versus percentage of the Chiefs winning it. What would you guys put it at? Like, say we'll start at like 50-50, but what would you say? Like 60% Niners lost it, 40% Chiefs won it. What do you think?
I still give the Chiefs credit because the Niners held them down for what did it end up being, like almost 50 minutes total?
52 total. Yeah.
And like the defense was smothering him. I've never seen Mahomes so lost, and
right.
the Chiefs' offensive line was so ineffective. Like,
but before you go any further,
they were doing so good too, they weren't blitzing. It was the down four guys that were just overwhelming the offensive line every single play. It was incredible.
Let me go back to while we're talking about this. Now let's go back to the MVP talk for a second. Are the Chiefs even at 20-10 without Darian Williams at that point? I don't think so.
No.
Yeah.
No, Damian Williams deserved his due.
Probably should have been the MVP.
It's one of those things where like you could spread it around a little bit where there wasn't a singular great performance, so you just default to the quarterback. But Mahomes wasn't good for 3 quarters.
Yeah, Mahomes was not that great.
He ran in that first touchdown, nice, and yes, the comeback doesn't happen without him in the fourth quarter, but who's the guy catching those balls? Who's the guy sure, the extra touchdown at the end that Williams put on wasn't a whole lot. He only had 66 yards before that big run.
Yeah, but they were 66. They were 66 huge yards though, because they were coming against a defense that doesn't give up much on the run. On top of the fact that Kansas City has no running game. I thought
I'm on your side with that. I would have given it to him, but I understand the argument against him. And so then
I do too.
Knocks against them, then it's like, well, all right, well then who? I guess I
think the whole thing with it is that I think people are kind of getting tired just defaulting to the quarterback.
Yeah.
Well, how many have we seen over the years?
He wasn't great.
And especially, in this case where, like, again, Mahomes wasn't great for the majority of the game, and there are other, players on the Chiefs who had, more consistently good game, who had a more consistently good game. So,
Well, not only that, but didn't Eli win it in Super Bowl 42?
Yeah.
And I don't recall his numbers being that great. I mean, if you want to pick a most valuable player, it's got to go to David Tyree for making that ridiculous, stupid catch.
Right, but you're not going to give an MVP to a guy for one play, are you?
I'll be honest with you. I don't like giving an MVP award out for these games at all. I think it's wrong because we've seen too many games where it was clearly like the entire defense was the MVP of that game, but they can't do that.
Right.
So,
meanwhile, in the Grey Cup, they just have 2 MVP awards. Well, the Outstanding Canadian.
I love that so much.
Well, and here's the thing the other way, too. If the Niners had won, I wouldn't give it to any guy on the offense had the Niners held on to win that game. I think you probably have to give it to Bosa.
Probably.
If I had to pick somebody.
But that's the thing, though. You have to pick one. But the reality is, if they win that game, the MVP is the front four on the defensive unit. That's the MVP.
Totally.
So that's why I don't like this. I don't like this because first off, everybody wants to give it to the quarterback, unless a running back just goes off, or like you have a Jerry Rice in Super Bowl, whatever it was, where he had like 220 yards, and I don't know. I think he's still scoring touchdowns against the Broncos in that game.
Well, it's one of those things where, like,
last year, where Julian Edelman was literally the only person on either team to do anything.
You know, they do this.
Did Brady get it last year?
No, it was Edelman.
Okay, it was Edelman. Yeah. Good. Okay, because he's the only one that deserved it.
He was the only one who did anything.
Right.
But it gets. I don't know.
I wouldn't be against maybe not getting rid of MVP, but doing like offensive and defensive player of the game or something like that.
That would work better. Or allow them to go. It's the entire unit. Because, you know, with broadcast and regular season, somebody used to do like player of the game. I can't remember. It wasn't.
I mean, they do it for Sunday Night Football, but they always give it to like two guys, don't they?
Yeah, but I remember there was. It might have been Monday Night Football back in the old days. I don't remember, but the player of the game, they decided it was the entire defensive unit for whatever team it was. I don't remember. But like, you got to give it to the whole defense, right? And they're like, yeah, so that's how they did it. But you're never going to get that.
No,
I think we've had co-MVPs once. I don't remember. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
Have we ever had a Super Bowl MVP from the opposing team?
From the losing team?
Yeah, there's like one guy.
One time, Chuck Howley with the Dallas Cowboys in Super Bowl V, believe it or not. Yeah, when they lost to the Colts, and what was generally regarded as the worst Super Bowl ever.
Yeah, isn't it just everyone? It was like the most error-prone game. Yeah.
I remember on the cover of Sports Illustrated, it says "Comedy of Errors." That's what they called the game on the cover.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, hell, as I'm looking at the stats, like I don't think I would have even given it to Bosa. I mean, he had one sack,
right?
One pass defense, 3 tackles. DeForest Buckner had 1.5 sacks, a tackle for loss.
That's what I mean. You've got to if you
guys had the interceptions on both teams. There were no fumbles. It was truly a team effort both ways. In that there wasn't one guy to give it to. And if looking at the stats, I think like when you consider the whole stats, and yes, sure the touchdown at the end is padding it. Damian Williams is the only guy that had a truly outstanding day.
That's why I say they should have just given it to him.
Yeah. Right. I mean,
he had a better game from beginning to end than Mahomes did.
Well, not only that, but I know that the analytics people don't believe in clutch, but every play he made was pretty clutch, all the way down to the last touchdown at the end. So yeah, he only had 66 yards. They were all clutch. They were all important. Those 66 yards were all very important. To the Chiefs' game plan, to keeping them in the game. Yeah. I mean, that first touchdown drive, without his running, they don't get there. It's as simple as that. And San Francisco they schemed perfectly to stop Patrick Mahomes. I don't know what happened because all of a sudden they couldn't, but for a long time they could. I
think Mahomes just did a better job of getting out of the pocket and
that's what he needed to do.
A little bit.
I mean, when he was trying to just do the straight drop back, they were all over him so fast. It was ridiculous.
Yep.
But it was I'm glad the Chiefs won. I'm glad to see it.
This is what I want to ask you, Greg, because you have a lot more experience with this than Mike or I. But when Urinating Tree put out his congratulations video, he went through all of the losses that Kansas City has had since the last. And I guess it hadn't stuck with me how bad this has been for them for so long.
Oh, yeah. I mean, people talk about how tortured the Browns are or the Lions or somebody like that. I think it's worse to get as close as these guys have gotten. And they've gotten close a lot over 50 years and never get there. The Browns had happened twice really with the drive and the fumble. They made the AFC Championship again in '89 but got blown out. But that's one thing. But the Chiefs, I mean, you go back to there was that game, the very first game that Urinating Tree showed, which was from like 70 something. I don't remember the exact year. It's the longest game ever played in NFL history. The Chiefs had 2 different chances with a Hall of Fame kicker, one of the best in the game at that time, to win it. He missed both field goals. And that's like when that dude from the Vikings missed after he had missed all year. That's what that was like for them. Jan Stenerud is, for my money, still the best kicker to ever play in the NFL. Well, no, I'll have to give that back. I think Vinatieri is probably the best. But Stenerud's right up there with those guys. He was that good, and he blows it. Then there was a game, I'd have to watch the video again, but I'm like, I remember all of these. Like every single one of them. I remember this happening to them. In the 90s with the Montana team, I think they made the AFC Championship against the Bills and got just
that was an interesting year because Montana was on the Chiefs and Steve Young was quarterbacking the 49ers, and we could have had the Montana Chiefs versus the young 49ers, but instead we got Cowboys-Bills Part 2.
Yeah.
So the Bills could be further flogged into irrelevance.
Nobody was beating that Cowboys team anyway, so it didn't matter. But yeah, it's been pretty tortured for the Chiefs. I mean, there were playoff games where they had a lot of you got the Marty Schottenheimer years. Mike, you understand this, and I understand this all too well. When he was their coach, they would get in and they would lose games. You go, how in the hell did they lose that game? But there they were. I don't know. I'd have to look it up to see, but it seems to me like they've been in it a lot more than the quote-unquote tortured teams have, and they've just had these crushing losses. Last year in the AFC Championship, what's his name? D Ford doesn't go off sides, and they probably win that game. And they're in the Super Bowl last year.
Not just to mention like the long history, but the recent history. Yeah. That game, the Tennessee game 2 years ago.
Tennessee game, yeah.
The Colts game, from the right. Where they were up like 40 damn points or whatever it was.
Yep. Yeah.
It didn't dawn on me how much it adds up over time. Like how many, yes, I knew the time was long, but it didn't occur to me the severity of how close they were to ending this a lot sooner.
Yeah, I don't understand why some of these games haven't taken on the stature of the drive or the fumble or.
I think it's just because it's Kansas City.
Yeah, but I mean, really, when you break it right down, not these Browns, but the original Browns, fan base and Chiefs fan base, they're the same team basically. They just play in different cities. They're like as popular as a college team. Everybody loves them. Yeah, I don't get it. But the Chiefs don't seem to have that. Well, I know why, because they have 2 Super Bowls with 1 win. And that makes it different because no matter how bad it gets, they can always go, well, you won it in 1969 or whatever. And maybe that's the difference. It's just that simple. They've already won one, so it doesn't seem as bad. Because that's the only difference I can see. Other than that, it's like, wow, you guys have had it a lot worse than we have. But yeah, we don't get there, but, you get there and blow it and blow it and blow it. And it was nice to see him finally punch that ticket this year.
Yeah. There is only one United States state that has 2 championships right now.
The great state of Kansas.
God damn it.
Or I should say there's only one United States state that possesses any championships right now because, Mike, your Toronto Raptors are in a province, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Soon to be annexed by the United States. But,
we can't let this stand. We have to annex you now.
And then the Nationals are in a district. So the great state of Missouri, the only United States state to currently house professional sports champions.
Yeah, the Blues and the Chiefs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Any other thoughts on the game itself?
Uniform matchup was fantastic. I screw everybody that said there was too much red. It looked great, I thought. It looked fantastic.
I liked how what was it? Lamar Hunt's son, who got the trophy at the end, was wearing that old school Chiefs blazer with the red arrowhead on the breast pocket. I always liked seeing those in those old NFL films highlights. So
I think Hank Stram came up with those.
Yeah, they're still wearing them, which I thought was nice. So that was cool to see.
And I like the fact that the Chiefs are like basically saying F you to the rest of the NFL and wearing their AFL patch. Yeah.
No, the AFL patch was nice.
Any thoughts on the all-time NFL 100 team? All the old guys they tossed out on the field to start the game.
I thought there was some terrible omissions at certain places, but yeah, I thought it was really cool.
What did you think? This might be crossing over into the commercial end of things, but what did you think of Tom Brady shilling for Hulu?
Oh, you know what?
I was so mad.
Could we just have one fucking Super Bowl without that guy being a part of it? That's all I'm asking.
He was already going to be part of the NFL 100, but good for him for standing in the back row and hiding behind Joe Montana.
Where he deserved to be. Did you guys see when they showed the quarterbacks in the graphic? Did you see who was at the top of that pyramid? Wasn't Tom Brady.
Joe
Montana.
It was only Joe Montana because it was the Montana Bowl.
Well, yeah, all the Niners fans, all the Chiefs fans. Yeah.
Do you want to know why? Probably
Everybody's got his play too.
You want to know why? The real reason why he was probably at the top? Probably some guy my age put that thing together and said, fucking, I'm putting Montana on top. I'm not kidding you. That happens. I'm dead serious. That's exactly what I would have done.
But
if somebody didn't give me a list of the order, I'm going to go, well, who's my favorite? That's the guy that's going on top. So that's what happened there.
As I'm going through it, I think it's kind of funny. Certain things like both the punters they picked just happen to be Raiders.
Great guy.
How do you even do a punter? Like, I don't know. I don't know how you would even judge that.
It's kind of amazing that they actually chose a returner, because when I saw Devin Hester, I'm like, what? I mean, yeah, but I didn't think you were doing that, but all right.
And Billy White Shoes Johnson from my era. Yeah. He was there too, which I was really shocked by. I'm like, really? But, with the punter,
Gates getting snubbed in the tight end.
Yeah, I think that's what I mean. They were over Mike Ditka. Come on. I don't know why Ditka is considered one of these great tight ends. I mean, he was good. Don't get me wrong. Probably a Hall of Famer, but he's not better than Gates or Ozzie Newsome.
No, the Daniel Tomlinson and running back. Come on.
Right. But Ditka's not better.
Running back.
Winslow, come on.
The one on the running back that I because he wasn't on the field, obviously, but I saw him as soon as I saw him on the graphic, I was like, is he going to be here? OJ?
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
I know he was a great player. I understand that. But, for something like this, don't you take certain things into account?
Well, that's the trick, though. I mean, you can't pretend he didn't happen, because he was really great when he played. I mean, nobody knew at the time he was going to go out and kill two people. No. You never know that shit,
when I saw him on the graphic, I'm like, did they get him here? Is he on?
Well, I think the problem with OJ is that he wasn't playing when he did it. If he had been playing when he did that, it'd be a whole different story. They'd be like, well, it's okay. Yeah, we forgive him. Everybody deserves a second chance. But since he wasn't on a team, no.
Happy to see Lance Allworth of the Chargers get on the wide receiver list.
He was a great player.
Yeah.
He was right toward his career was ending right as I started following football when I was a kid, but I remember him. Yeah.
Yeah. As I look at the tight ends, Ditka's bad, but it's like if Gronk is there, you can't not have put Antonio Gates there too.
Right. That's my point. And I don't know if I'm ready to buy Gronk as one of the all-time greats. I'm sorry. I'm not. Again, I'm not saying that he's not probably a Hall of Fame tight end, best of his era, but all time. There's some pretty stiff competition there. And I just maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I didn't watch him enough. I don't know. But
that's part of my problem with this team is that there's too many. If you're gonna do this, you have to do an all 11 sort of thing. Well, maybe you go too deep, but you can't pick 12 running backs. Come on.
Well, and another problem I have with it too is that you can't get rid of a guy from say the 60s or 50s and 60s onward for a guy that played in the freaking 20s. It wasn't even the same game back then.
Look, I was actually going to bring that up because Greg, you like to go on about how the NFL doesn't acknowledge its history pre-Super Bowl, but we've got a lot of pre-Super Bowl era guys. Okay, what are the running backs they picked? Earl Dutch Clark, 1931 to 1938.
That's what I'm saying. Now, Earl Dutch Clark would get killed from 1957 forward. I'm not even going to talk about from the 70s on. I'm talking about from when the league became the league, which was in the late 50s. What's his name? Earl Dutch Thompson?
Earl Dutch Clark.
Earl Dutch Clark steps on the field. He's going to die in 3 plays because he was probably 5'8", weighed 140 pounds.
I'm just saying that you can't bash the NFL for ignoring its pre-Super Bowl history, Greg, because they got some people here from the goddamn 30s on this list.
The earliest non-coach on here is offensive tackle Cal Hubbard from 1927.
Right.
His picture is hilarious, by the way.
You cannot give me an offensive lineman from 1927 and put him next to Jonathan Ogden and tell me that they play the same position.
Uh-huh.
It's not even close to being the same thing.
Well, I'll even go with one better.
I fucking love this, though. I'm sending you a screenshot. Like, you can all see it, but I wanted to screenshot it. This is too good.
It's like an old man in a sweatshirt. Like,
yeah.
It looks like he's playing in the Turkey Bowl, let alone the Super Bowl.
Okay, so okay.
Oh, there's Earl Dutch Clark in his leather helmet.
Here you go. No, man. All right, Carl Hubbard isn't even wearing a helmet. Check this out. Just check this out. I just said to you guys. It's like Zach said. It's an old man wearing a sweater.
It's not the same thing.
Look at that.
He looks like Wilford Brimley from a TV commercial or some shit. Come on.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Carl Hubbard, and I have diabetes.
Or go to the starting centers. They've got Mel Hine, 1931 to 1945. Yeah. I mean, at least he's wearing a leather helmet, though, so it actually looks like he's...
Yeah, but tell me that, okay, like... I don't know who lines up over center. Let me find a defensive lineman here.
And I think as I'm staring at these a little longer.
Are you going to tell me Mean Joe Greenwood knocked that guy into last week on one play? Come on.
As I'm staring at this list a little bit longer, the wide receiver group isn't at all right.
No.
Like, yes, Jerry Rice and Randy Moss and Larry Fitzgerald and even Lance Allworth, Marvin Harrison. But, like... Come on. There's so many guys that you can put on that list that you don't have. Mm-hmm. That that group in particular looks pretty suspect to me.
Okay, I'm gonna hate saying this because he was a Bronco and a Raven. Why isn't Shannon Sharp on the tight ends list?
He's not?
No.
You're kidding.
No, your tight ends are
Gonzalez.
Yeah.
See, Shannon Sharp was
Gronk, John Mackey, and Kellen Winslow. That's it.
Mackey, I got no issue with. He kind of defined the position. He's the first prototype of what we see today. I got no issue with that. Tony Gonzalez, kind of hard to argue that. Kellen Winslow's the best there's ever been. Ditka, and how can you leave off Gates or Shannon Sharp? Yeah, come on. And put Ditka on there instead? I mean, let's be honest. If Ditka doesn't coach,
they just wanted to put Ditka in there, and they couldn't put him in as a coach, so they put him in as a player.
Well, why couldn't you put him in? I would have preferred Ditka as a coach, honestly.
Well, not only that, but the question is if Ditka doesn't coach under Landry and then coach the Bears at that Super Bowl, do we even know who he is today?
Look. Do we really need? We've already got Vince Lombardi. Do we really need Curly Lambeau in the coaching?
No.
Thing. We've got your Packers representation of Lombardi. So throw out Curly Lambeau, put Ditka in as a coach, and then put Shannon Sharp or Antonio Gates in for tight end.
Okay, remember that crazy play the Chiefs ran where they did that like single wing thing where they all spun around and
yeah,
that's what a Curly Lambeau coached NFL game would look like on every single play. Come on. The coaches.
I don't know. I'm still
when they did the coaches. What a dick move by Bill Belichick.
Throw those rings up?
Oh, my God.
I love that. I'm like, yeah, dude, you go, boy.
It's like, you son of a bitch. You're not even playing in the game, and I just want to rip your head off.
God.
That was gangster, man. It was like
this is the other reason I'm glad that they weren't in the game. I'm
still loving this Carl Hubbard picture, by the way, though.
Yeah, it's...
Other than, I guess you got to give Hallis the nod because he, basically invented the NFL.
Yeah.
But Curly Lambeau, I got to go. The rest of these guys, I'm okay with.
Yeah, they're all the coach of their respective eras,
But you could replace Curly Lambeau with like Marv Levy, even though he never won a Super Bowl. But
I say get rid of Lambeau, put Ditka in as a coach to throw a bone to Bears fans, and then put Gates or Sharp in Ditka's spot for tight end.
Let's see the running backs.
I mean, yeah, Ditka only had the one Super Bowl, but in fairness to him, that was a pretty dominant team. So,
Yeah, it was.
I think there's only one buck on this, and it's Leroy Selman.
No, Derek Brooks made it too.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
How salty do you think Terry Bradshaw was being in that stadium and not being put on the quarterbacks list?
Well, I have some issues
What, with his stupid hat?
Yes, his hat.
His stupid old man hat?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that Bradshaw should have been in there instead of Favre.
I don't like Brett Favre at all, and I would have been completely fine with not having him on that list, but you know that they're not going to do that.
Yeah. I think if you got to take somebody off,
Sammy Baugh.
Sammy Baugh and Otto Graham, I mean, they're legends. That's a category where it's like, I don't know. You're missing somebody or one or two people, but I don't know who the hell you kick out.
You kick out Dan Marino because he never won a championship.
Yeah.
Shit, man.
It's a dick move, but look, okay.
You're already at 9 quarterbacks. What would be wrong with adding a 10th?
Right.
No, but okay. Look at this.
Or sorry, you're at 10 quarterbacks. So
I'm looking at this quarterback list. I'm going through all of them. They've all won NFL titles, except
one.
Except Marino.
As I look at this again, how do you have 12 running backs but only 10 wide receivers?
I don't know. I mean, there's so many more wide receivers you could add to this.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, of all these groups, that wide receiver list is lacking.
Like, I don't think is Marvin Harrison. Yeah, I was going to say Marvin Harrison. Okay, he's there.
Yeah,
but let me think.
Elroy Hirsch.
Who's the guy from the Bills in the 80s?
Oh, Andre Reed.
Yeah.
Andre Reed could be on this list. Glenn Swan or John Stallworth from the 70 Steelers teams could be on here.
You could probably put T.O. on there, really.
T.O., yeah, absolutely. Is Randy Moss? Yeah, he's there.
Yeah. I mean, you got the must-haves. You got your Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Larry Fitzgerald.
Paul Warfield is deserving to be there. You guys never saw him play, but he was really, really good. I mean, I only saw him at the tail end of his career, and he was still really good.
What about Don Hudson, 1935, 1945?
He's blocking for the single wing, for Pete's sake. Come on.
Yeah. How many? He probably had more. His career catches are probably less than what Larry Fitzgerald has in a year.
Look, all I'm saying,
look it up.
I'm saying is that say what you will, but Don Hudson is wearing an old football helmet. And I'm saying that because after Carl Hubbard's picture of being an old man in a sweater, literally anyone who's at least wearing shoulder pads or a leather helmet is okay in my book, because at least it looks like they're playing some form of football.
Look at the guards.
Don Hudson did have 1,000 yards receiving once in his career. So
I think they only played like 8 games or something.
Oh, the guards.
11
guards. Dan Fortman.
Tell me, look at the size of that guy. Tell me he could do anything on an – he would barely be able to be a punter today. Yeah, I know I bashed them for not acknowledging the history part that they don't have a problem with. It's acknowledging championships pre-Super Bowl. They don't want anything to do with that.
They're acknowledging pre-Super Bowl champions on this list. If you click on it, it'll say like NFL champ. They distinguish between NFL champion and Super Bowl champion.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, like, if you watch a game, nobody talks about the Browns as having like I don't know how many they've got, 5 or 6, or when the Packers, it's like they've won 4 Super Bowls. Well, actually, they've won a shitload more than that. Same with I don't know about the 49ers. Maybe they won one back in the 50s. I don't remember.
Oh, interesting Carl Hubbard facts. You can look at his.
Zach, you need to go to your old-time announcer's voice for these. Come on.
4-time All-Pro.
Carl Hubbard, starting on the offensive line for the Green Bay Packers. Wow, look at him go. What a bulldozer up front.
He's the only guy to be a member of...
Sorry, New York Giants. Oh, he played for the Packers 1 year. Okay.
He's the only guy to be inducted into both the Hall of Fames of football and baseball.
Really?
He was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame as an umpire.
Oh,
good for him. How about that?
Here,
he looks more like an umpire than he does a football player.
Yeah, here. Let me try this. Hold on. Kyle Hubbard, offensive tackle. New York Giants, Green Bay Packers, Pittsburgh Pirates. Most feared lineman of his time. Rookie star with the Giants defense. Played tight end with the Giants. Switched to tackle with the Packers. Key member of 4 NFL championship teams. Only member of Hall of Fame for pro football and baseball. As an umpire, no less. So here's how these guys carry over. Because if you read his bio, he's a member of the 75th anniversary all-time team and named to the NFL's all-decade team for the 20s. So I think with things like that, they don't put too much research. They're like, hey, who do we have on this list the last time we did it? Right, let's just throw him on there, I guess.
By the way, so if you click on Carl Hubbard, like the top portion of it is a video. You can watch the hype package for Carl Hubbard.
Oh, wow, really?
Hype package? Oh, damn. It's 28 seconds, but
so far it's
mostly
just
a Ken Burns still photo zooming in.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of black and white still
so wait, hold on.
of him
One photo,
wearing
2
sweaters.
photos. Do we have a third photo? We have 3 photos.
The picture of him at his Hall of Fame induction is black and white.
Wow. So he only has 3 photos from his playing days, and then once when he got inducted as like an old man.
He was an old man in the 60s.
Because he was
looks like a tough old bastard, though.
He was born on Halloween 1900. 1900. 1900.
That's like what, 250 years ago or something, right? No, 100. That's 120 years ago.
120 years, yeah.
Carl Hubbard, yeah. I don't know. I got to see Dan Fortman's hype package now.
Can't disparage.
Oh, Carl Hubbard was the actual Hall of Fame pitcher. You're right. Oh, check out Dan Fortman's hype package.
Oh boy,
who is he? He's under the guards, right?
Yeah. Look at him. He's like 5'8", 130 pounds. Christ, he kind of looks like Andy. It's funny.
Deadly tackler, genius at diagnosing enemy plays.
Yeah, he does kind of look like Andy,
doesn't he? A little bit.
He earned his medical degree while playing in the NFL.
Oh shit, that's good for something, right?
Yeah, I mean, diagnose concussions on the sideline. They weren't doing that in 1936, but
back
yeah.
then. I'll tell you what his medical advice on the sideline would have been. It's like, put some leeches on it.
Right. Come here, let me bleed that out for you. Oh, Bill DeWitt. Okay, let's see his hype package. 1932 to 36 Chicago Bears. Oh, he played for the Phil Pitt Steagles.
Oh,
Steagles.
I love the Steagles and I love Card Pitt. Those are one of my favorite. That's some of my favorite obscure NFL trivia is Steagles and Card Pitt.
It's for
during the war
minute,
there wasn't enough players, so
the Steelers and Eagles were one team at one point.
I'm bummed that there's not a single Frankfurt Yellow Jacket on any of these teams, any of these positions.
Cincinnati Steamroller,
right?
Providence Steamrollers.
Yeah, Providence.
Yeah, Providence. Wait a minute. Didn't the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets become the Eagles?
Yes.
No, they folded. I mean, they may have come back as the Eagles, but they folded 3 years after they won their title.
The Eagles wore those throwbacks that one year.
Yeah, they wore the Yellow Jackets throwbacks.
Yeah,
really?
Those really ugly ones. Remember the
Oh yeah, they were horrible. Worst throwbacks in the history of throwbacks.
Yeah, pretty bad.
What they did was they were like, "Hey, people really like those Chargers powder blue and yellow throwbacks. Let's bust out the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets. People will love them." And it was like, "Oh no."
So, apart from the football, what did you guys think of the halftime show?
I think I'm the only one of the 3 of us who watched it.
I watched this. I watched half of it.
I watched it all later on YouTube. I watched it on YouTube later.
Yeah, and I did watch the whole thing later on YouTube as well. It's I was entertained.
It depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for great music, probably not. If you like spectacle and just what they did, it was fantastic from that aspect. Just putting on a show type of thing. It was really
I think
good.
it's the best of all time. No, but it's. No. I think it's the exact sort of energy you want for a Super Bowl. You just want it to be you want energy, you want crazy dances, you want stuff happening.
It delivered on that. You want to know what the best Super Bowl halftime show ever was? was Joe Montana getting interviewed.
Do you? I mean, everybody holds that Prince halftime.
My personal favorite. It's so hard because it's so subjective. You know, it depends on your musical taste and all that. My personal favorite was U2 in 2001. I thought that was fantastic. Prince was really good, but my favorite was U2.
People.
Up with People, yeah, badass. I like their earlier, less serious stuff better, but they got, they had some moments.
I find it hilarious that Up With People did the Super Bowl halftime show for like 10 straight years.
Yeah, I think really the Super Bowl halftime show as we know it didn't start until Michael Jackson did it that one year.
Let me. I pulled up the Wikipedia article on Super Bowl halftime shows. Let's see. Oh, is this our first sponsor? The first sponsored halftime show. Super Bowl 23, sponsored by Diet Coke. There was an introduction by Bob Costas in a 3D commercial for Diet Coke, followed by Elvis Presto. The theme was 1950s rock and roll. Then there was an audience participation card trick. Audience participation card trick got me.
My favorite is Super Bowl 25, where the halftime show was delayed because the Gulf War started.
Yeah.
Could you imagine like being in the locker room, like waiting for this thing to go? And
yeah.
But that one, I think that one looks like the first real performers.
Right. That's what go ahead.
New Kids on the Block, Disney characters, Warren Moon,
and 2,000 local children.
But that was a tribute to Small World. So they sang "It's a Small World" and "We Are the World," and I'd like to teach the world to sing because it was.
As we're bombing the shit out of another country. That's funny.
Yeah. And then the year after, you get Gloria Estefan, Brian Boitano, and Dorothy Hamill, the 1980 Olympic hockey team, and University of Minnesota marching band.
We need to bring back Up With People.
Oh, that'd be funny. Just for the laughs, if nothing else. But back to the show for this year, though. Like I said, it just depended on what you wanted. Yeah. The music I don't care for, but the show itself, the spectacle of it was pretty cool. I thought. They were doing some cool stuff. Yeah.
I thought this was a great commercial year for the Super Bowl. There were a lot that I really liked.
I really liked the sliced bread Little Caesars one.
That was pretty funny. I like that one.
Good. I like the Hyundai Boston accent commercial as much as I hate Boston accents.
Yeah, I was trying to go, I hate this commercial, but I'm like, this is pretty good. And then when Big Papi showed up, I'm like, okay, I get it.
So
I love that NFL 100 commercial where the kid is running through, all the guys. That's great.
So I want to bring up something that you said on the boards, Greg, which was which got a chuckle out of me. The Google Alexa one.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
that one just
it was sad, but I liked Greg's idea, which was that he should have been yelling at Alexa because he's old and doesn't know how to.
Come on,
Alexa, what?
Alexa, do this. It's like ordering pizza. No, God dang it!
God damn what I said.
Call Loretta. She's dead, sir.
Remember this about Loretta? Looking up Rosetta Stone. That kind of shit. That would have been fucking hysterical. That would have been realistic. This was just manipulative bullshit, I thought.
My favorite commercial though had to be the Groundhog Day Jeep commercial.
I'm right there with you. That was awesome.
That was so good.
Yeah. Well, because they teased it at first, like they did the clock thing where you didn't see who was in the bed. They went to the spot. You're like, is it going to be Bill Murray? And it was. And I was like, oh, this is going to be cool.
When he's just like, oh no.
And then he goes out and he sees the Jeep and he's like, oh, this is different.
And he's just he's got the groundhog and the coach is like, I'm following you.
An overwhelming amount of electric cars are coming out, I've learned.
Oh my God. If I hit the lottery, I'm buying that Porsche right away. Right away.
I can't deal with the idea of an electric Porsche.
Oh, dude, do you know how fast that thing's going to be?
I'm sure it is, but it's just it feels dirty.
Wrong?
Yeah. That shouldn't exist. And can I just give a big screw you to planters?
The Baby Yoda ripoff?
Just another corporate brand trying to rip off the Baby Yoda hype.
Yeah.
Get in there with a baby nut. Like, come on.
There's one that I didn't like because I thought it tried too hard, which was the Jonah Hill, Martin Scorsese one.
Yeah.
Nah,
that was a lot of setup for no payoff.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, this is a Coca-Cola energy drink commercial.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey. What else?
I'll tell you, that wasn't funny.
Jason Momoa taking off his muscle suit was
cool until it got freaky weird looking. Then it was kind of like, ugh.
Yeah, it's like, I like Jason Momoa. Oh, he's taking off his arm. He's taking off his. Oh no. Oh no. What am I looking at here?
I was with him until he took off the hair, and he was like a bald. I was like, this is just too freaky looking, man. You went one step too far with that. It would have worked otherwise. One that I liked, it wasn't funny or anything, but I really enjoyed the one about the what's her name, Katie Sauer, the coach of the 49ers coach.
Yeah.
The one, I thought that was really well done. It was cool.
I've heard a lot about her, but I'm not sure exactly what her job is on the team.
I think she's special teams or trainer or something, like physical something or other. She's not.
She is a positional coach of some kind.
Look, she's still more of a coach than Hugh Jackson was.
This is true
for the Bengals.
Anyway, guys, does anybody have a copy of the XFL schedule for this week in front of them that we can make our picks? I want to pick the games before we go.
You want to pick the games?
I want to pick the games, yes.
I know my LA Wildcats are playing their inaugural game on Saturday.
Here we go. I got it. XFL schedule.
CBS Sports actually has XFL Week 1 power rankings.
Oh, power rankings. How do you power rankings? No, I need to see if there's XFL betting lines, because how the hell do you even make like lines for week?
You're gonna do 3 points for the home team and basically be done with it.
Oh, so apparently one of the things that the XFL is gonna do are these crazy visors.
Oh, great!
All right, here we go. Week 1 matchups, fellas. Let's make our picks and we'll call it a night.
By the way, I'm telling you, I'm going to Vegas this weekend. I'm gonna put money on one of these dumb things.
I don't know. I don't remember the cities these two playing, but it's the Dragons at the Defenders.
Seattle Dragons at the DC Defenders. ABC, big ABC with the pickup there.
I'm gonna go. I think the Defenders have.
By the way, I did find lines. This is a thing.
Okay.
These are legitimate because they come from the Action Network, which is that thing that Brent Musburger signed on with, I believe.
All right.
The DC Defenders are 7.5-point favorites.
Well, I think it's because they have a better name. That's what I'm going with. So I'm picking the Defenders in this one, and they're going to cover that 7.5.
Better name, better uniforms.
I mean, yeah, I'm going to have to go with the Defenders based purely off of the uniforms. That's going to be my standard for all of these, by the way, because I know nothing about these teams.
That's why I wanted to pick the games the first week. This will be great because then we got to do we've got to do the follow-up next week, our analysis of all the XFL
Week 1 overreaction.
Better believe it.
Overreaction Monday for the
basically. Oh my God, can we?
We've got to. We have to.
Game number, and again, that's 2 p.m. on Eastern on Saturday on ABC.
All right.
Live from Audi Field in Washington D.C. By the way.
Up next, matchup number 2. This is ABC doing a doubleheader because this one's
this one is 5 p.m. Eastern Saturday on Fox. Big Fox.
Okay. Wildcats. That would be your LA Wildcats, Zach.
Los Angeles Wildcats
at the Houston Oilers Roughnecks.
The Houston Roughnecks, legally distinct from the Oilers.
The Roughnecks are 5.5-point favorites.
You know what? I'm gonna go the underdog here because I like the Wildcats uniforms more.
Yeah, I gotta go Wildcats, baby. Let's go.
I'm gonna go. What was the line again?
5.5. Houston.
Roughnecks.
Yes.
I'm going to go with the Roughnecks. I'm going to stick with the favorites here because again, I like the name better, and I used to like the Oilers, and these guys are close enough.
I'm gonna feel like such a dumbass walking up to the betting window. Excuse me, I'd like to put $50 on the Los Angeles Wildcats, please.
The guy's going to be like, what league is that? And then you're going to have to say, it's the XFL.
Okay, up next, the Mike's Tampa Bay Vipers.
The hometown Vipers.
At the Guardians, who are from
New York City.
The New York City Guardians. Okay, what's the line on this one, Zach?
Live from MetLife, by the way. This is going to be in MetLife.
God, that's going to be so terrible.
That's going to look awful.
This is at 2 p.m. Eastern on Sunday on Fox. The Vipers are 2.5-point favorites on the road, Mike.
Ooh.
See, this is where I'm going to have some I'm going to have, I'm going to get afflicted. The Vipers are the hometown team, but their uniforms are god-awful. And I actually think the New York Guardians look pretty swank.
Yeah, I got to go with the Guardians on this one just because I like the uniforms better.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Guardians have a claim to have the best uniforms in the XFL. I don't know if I'd give it to them, but they're definitely in the upper tier. And again, I don't know anything about any of these teams, so I like the uniforms more. So Guardians with the win.
And finally, wrapping up Week 1 in the XFL 2020 season.
Live from Globe Life Park in Arlington.
Well, this is the first sporting event at the Rangers' new stadium.
Yeah.
The Battlehawks.
Battlehawks.
The St. Louis Battlehawks taking on
the Dallas Renegades.
The Dallas Renegades.
Renegades are 8.5-point favorites over.
I'm picking the upset here.
I just want to know how they gauge these numbers.
This is, by the way, 5 p.m. Eastern Sunday, ESPN.
Wow, they've got TV deals all over the place, don't they?
Yeah.
I'm going with the Battlehawks, even though they have. I know that there is a person out there that thinks this is the best football helmet ever. It's not even close, but I'm going to go with the Battlehawks with the upset in this one.
I'm going to go with the Battlehawks. Their helmet is very overrated, but overall, I do like their uniform better.
Yeah,
so
the uniform itself is good. The helmets could tone it down a bit. That'd be a good solid.
So I'm going for the Battlehawks in this game. They're gonna do St. Louis proud, and they're all going to eat their bagels like savages.
Just so you know, by the way, every single XFL game is nationally televised.
Wow.
So, like, as I'm telling you this week with all the games spread out like that, that's how it's going to be every single weekend. You can watch for the next 10 weeks 40 XFL games, all of them.
Nice.
Respective cable channels.
That's going to help us out a lot with our weekly segment on the XFL.
I don't know how I'm going to live my life if I'm going to stick my ass to the couch for the next 10 weeks watching the XFL. But
how are you going to justify that to the girlfriend, though? It's like, let's go out and do something. No!
I'm doing it for work.
This is XFL season. Come on.
Week 2, Greg won't be seeing a minute of the XFL because that's the weekend of the Daytona 500, so I will be not paying any attention.
No, that's where you go full. That's where you go full Homer Simpson, Zach, and you just be like, the X stands for extreme.
When it comes to Battlehawks Renegades, I think I gotta go. I guess I gotta go Renegades. I don't know.
All right.
You don't have to.
There you go. You have our picks for Week 1 in the XFL. We will have Overreaction Monday and the XFL next week on the show.
Overreaction Monday.
On that note, folks, we're going to wrap it up. We will see you next week with XFL Overreaction Monday. Looking forward to it.
XFL.